It's May 31st, 2019. Just a quick report today. I was out 3 times last week, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday I went out with Andy. We caught 6 fish. Well, I caught the first fish, and it doesn't really matter who caught the rest. It was good to be out that day, but things were slow. We kind of ran around. We started on Long Point, and when things didn't really pan out there, then we went back to the river and pulled a few flies, and then from there we just hopped on a few reefs, and we really couldn't put anything together. There's fish definitely on the reefs, but there's not as many as you'd expect at this time of year. And then I went out on Sunday alone. It was a real calm day when I went out. I didn't have a whole lot of time, and for the most part I trolled the mud. I saw guys out there, and I thought, well, maybe there's something happening, and I had some questions about the way my depth finder was reading fish, so I really wanted to try and see if I could connect with a fish or two out there. And depth finder is fine. There's a new version of Hummingbird software that I was kind of worried about because things look a little different, but it marked the fish just fine, and it seemed to be fairly sensitive and give me a lot of information, so I was real happy with that. So then I ran around and I found a few fish, actually quite a few marks, just outside of Pawcatuck. That's just the south, it's a couple miles south of the river in Oshkosh. And I was able to catch a couple walleyes. I caught 2 13-inch walleyes there. I probably could have caught more. I was generating some other footage for another project. I wasn't all that focused on fishing that day, but I did still catch a few there. And then I trolled a little bit by Long Point, still deep water, but and then I caught 2 more smaller walleyes there. And then on Monday I was able to get out in the morning. There was some weather coming in, but I got out early in the morning and I fished hard. I fished from Oshkosh to Long Point and kind of back, and I did catch 7 walleyes, but the biggest one was 15 inches. A different day I would have expected to do a lot better there, a little later in the year. So that was it for the fishing. Getting reports from the upper river lakes that people are catching a good amount of fish up there, Lake Butamore, Lake Poygan. Not quite sure techniques and what they're doing, but the idea is that the fish are dumping out of the river now and into the upper river lakes. And as of yesterday, I would have said it's just a matter of time before they get into Lake Winnebago. But a little information I got from a friend of mine in Oshkosh was the 24th Street and Fugelberg ramps were pretty full the last couple of days, so that leads me to believe that there's a pretty good bite going on, near the mouth of the river. So it should be a good weekend to get out. There's going to be a little bit of weather change. Friday, it's going to be in the 80s, and Saturday and Sunday it's going to be in the 60s. So that can affect fish a little bit, but this time of year that doesn't affect it that much. As for techniques, at this time of year, there's usually a pretty good trolling bite. A couple years ago it was between the orange cans. If you go out from the river a ways, you'll see an orange can, and then just south of that you'll see another orange can, and people were trolling flicker minnows. Purple flicker minnows was the hot bait back then, and they're trolling between the cans. A couple years before that, it was outside Miller Bay. People were basically doing the same thing. And then, with low light periods or whatever, they go up on the reefs, and so there's a lot of fish there. And, Stony Point, the point, Stony Beach, the point out by Stony Beach, that's a classic. That should just be full this weekend. It's going to be interesting. But there's no reason to really fish there if there's that many people. There are just so many other reefs around, and if there's fish there's going to be fish on, the reefs north and south of there. So, just be a little flexible, and you should be able to find fish without a whole lot of people. This time of year, crawlers work fine. Leeches can give you a pretty good bite. If you're trying to do different things, you might want to pick up a dozen leeches and give that a try. There were some questions on this group I follow. It's a really good group. It's Lake Winnebago Junkies on Facebook, and people were asking there about trolling. And I think when people think about trolling, they think about these boats carrying 6 boards, and you really don't need that to troll. I mean, you can troll with one rod in your hand while you're steering the boat. I mean, it's done all the time, and it especially this time of year, can be effective. You're both trolling, inside structure, so you can be trolling around the reef and able to really steer around the structure, and that can be very effective. And you don't need a whole lot of equipment for that. A good stout rod and a few flicker shads, flicker minnows. Predominantly, I start with 7s and might go down to 5s for flicker shads, and then if I'm looking for bigger fish, I'll use the flicker minnows, and the ones I usually use are 11s. But I don't think there's any magic to any of those. I think be consistent, and you'll catch fish. So that's the report for today. Caught a few walleyes last week, but I'm still really looking forward to the big push when walleyes come into the lake. And with this information, let's get out and fish.